You were, as far as I know, the only senator to declare your assets on resumption of office.
Yes.
At the time. Many of your colleagues did not follow your example to declare publicly.
Yes.
Of course, it's a constitutional requirement for you to declare it,
Yes.
but they didn't do so publicly.
Yes.
And that brings me to the whole issue of war against corruption. So many people use that famous phrase you used on the floor of the Senate about deodorants and insecticides for certain people, which tended to give the impression that you agreed with those who said the battle was selective and that in many instances it was politically inclined as opposed to being holistic. Do you still hold on to that view?
Well, I hold on to that view, the fact that if we are going to prosecute an anti-corruption crusade, we must beam our searchlight not just on the members of the opposition, but also on those in the ruling party. The president was some few years ago in Dubai, and an agreement was signed between Nigeria and the government of United Arab Emirates. All that I expected to come from that agreement was that a full disclosure of all Nigerians that own property and also cash in Dubai banks. But that never happened. And it is there for all to see. Corruption is a scourge that has undermined our country and destroyed our economy. Not just economy, but it also destroys our reputation, image, and integrity globally. We are seen to be a corrupt nation that is not worthy of anything and should not be trusted. But we must give it to President Muhammadu Buhari that he was able to redeem our image globally. But there are issues within this government that need to be treated well. Just some few days ago, the Governors Forum raised an alarm that the NNPC is making false declarations and inflating figures, which clearly, without the euphemistic description of it, there exists an industrial scale corruption in the NNPC. So the president must act. There were allegations raised against some members within this ruling party. So if we must be seen to be doing the right thing, if we are not witch hunting the opposition, if we are fighting corruption, then all corrupt people, irrespective whether they hold brooms or they hold umbrella, they should be investigated and prosecuted. Why I used the deodorant and insecticide phrase on the floor of the Senate was the very fact that we have seen a systemic adulteration of the anti-corruption fight, where people within the presidency and the president are being shielded from all eyes of the EFCC. And then we have seen people who, for the very fact that they belong to the opposition, are being arrested and prosecuted every day. I, for one, am one of those who supported Magu, and I believe he is doing a good job. But whatever job must be done, it must be done in such a way that it will be seen to be very blind. So I insisted that you can't have a credible, reputable anti-corruption crusade when there are people who are shielded and there are people who are prosecuted.
You made mention of Ibrahim Magu, the chairman of the EFCC, the acting chairman of the EFCC. You say he's doing a good job. But twice, the Senate, of which you are a member, said no, that he can't be confirmed as chairman of the EFCC. If he's doing such a good job, how come?
Yes, well, it is not the fault of the Senate. It is the fault of the president and the presidency. You send a nominee to us in the Senate and say, this man we shall approve. And then an agency, a security agency under the president, brought a damning report against that person. What should we do? So, if the president is desirous of Magu, he could have restrained the security agency from bringing such an indicted report about him. But all that happened, I believe, is part of Nigeria's history. Magu is still there, is still working, and the president is also having also I believe he has a copy of the report written against him. So for us in the Senate, there were people who stood for Magu and people who were against Magu, but the voice against him was stronger than the ones for him. And as such, those who worked against him depended on the security report written by the DSS. So if the president, Magu is not a victim of the National Assembly, but he is a victim of a civil war happening within the domain of the president himself. So we have no option than to reject it, because the majority rejected him and the minority agreed that he is a person that should be there.
Now, in view of everything you've said so far, will you support the president for a second term?
I didn't know President Muhammadu Buhari because he became a president. I knew him when he was never a president, when he was not a president. And he has been a man, he was a man who has spent over 40 years in Kaduna. And I can attest to his history of integrity, and I can attest to his history of competence in office. But leadership is not simply about the integrity and honesty of one person. You must be a team player and you must carry people along. There are areas he has succeeded. He has succeeded in the economy. He has succeeded on security matters to a large extent as far as the insurgents in the Northeast are concerned. But there exists also an apparent failure. Nigerians have never been more divided than they are now. People don't see themselves as Nigerians, they see themselves as Northerners, Southerners, Muslims, and Christians. And the killings going on in North Central and the Northwestern part of Nigeria is a serious dent on the reputation, the integrity, and the competence of Buhari as a person. So far now, I have not seen any presidential candidate who I can say has offered himself to preside over the affairs of the state than President Muhammadu Buhari. He's capable, he's competent, and I believe that he can take Nigeria to greater heights if given the chance. But there are a lot of things he needs to do.
Such as?
Such as he needs to free himself from the cabal around him.
Which you have described using animals.
Yes, the hyenas, the jackals, and also other predatory animals that are within him. And he also needs to be a man of himself. The governors are having so much powers, they shouldn't dictate who should be in his cabinet or not. And also he should carry the party along in the way he does things. And he should also address the internal problems and the crisis within the party. So for now, if the APC, which is the party that now is behind President Muhammadu Buhari, still want us to be there, then it should be fair and just. But if it is not just and it is not fair, and if there is no justice, there is no fairness, there is no sense of belonging and taking us all along and treating us with fairness, certainly we cannot remain in the party.
Senator Sani, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah.